Dear friends, what I am going to talk to you today is a technical topic. It's called complex inner product. Now, you must have heard about inner products, so you must be wondering what is complex inner product. Now, today we are going to discuss complex vectors and matrices. Most linear algebra books gives examples largely with vectors which consist of real numbers as components and matrices whose entries are real numbers. But complex vectors and matrices appear regularly in problems of engineering, like in electrical engineering. It appears regularly in physics, for example, in quantum mechanics and in quantum computing. So, this is a very important thing, and of course, in mathematics, that's besides the point. So a complex vector is a vector, say a complex n vector, which has n components, is a vector which consists of n components, and these n components, each of them are complex numbers. It's not that everybody should be a complex number. If one of them is a complex number, then it becomes a complex vector. So in fact, every real number can also be thought of as a complex number. No, now you see what I have written here is that V is having component Z1 to Zn, where each Zi is in C. Just for you to recall, the space of complex numbers consists of numbers of the form x plus iy, where I is root over minus 1. X is called the real part of Z and Y is called the imaginary part of Z. I am assuming your familiarity with this. I am assuming that the viewers who would like to see this particular video must have some familiarity with this very basic concept of a complex number. A complex vector space Cn, that's what we are going to discuss, for example, today. So this complex vector space Cn is an n-fold Cartesian product of the complex plane C. I know what complex plane C is consisting of all numbers Z of the form x plus iy. So V, this vector V that we have just discussed here, this vector V is in the space C of n. Just like Rn, you have Cn. A complex matrix is a one whose all entries are complex numbers. Right. So, like, look at the matrix A of dimension m cross n, and all the entries are complex numbers. So, this is easily understood what I am trying to mean. Now, we know about transpose of a matrix. When you have real numbers in, you know what is a transpose. You make the rows columns and columns rows. The first row becomes the first column, the second row becomes the second column, and so on. While there is an additional notion of conjugate transpose of a matrix. So conjugate transpose means you first take the conjugate of all the complex numbers that are entered in the matrix. So if A is the complex number, the complex matrix which we have just seen, then A conjugate of A is taking the conjugate of all the entries that you see here, all the entries that you have seen in the matrix A. Conjugate of a complex number is also known to most of you who have studied very basic complex number, that if Z is of the form x plus iy, then a conjugate defined by Z bar, that is given as x plus iy. X minus iy. I have made a mistake here. Let me just cut it and write it again. It's x minus I of y. So when you multiply z with z bar or z bar with z, whichever order, doesn't matter. When you do the complex multiplication, then what you get is x square plus y square. In some sense, it is called the modulus of the complex number or the length of the complex number, whatever you want to say. Now, a notion that plays a very important role is called the conjugate transpose. So first you have taken conjugate of the matrix A, you have the matrix A, and then you have taken its conjugate, which is A bar, and then you take the transpose of A bar in the way normally a matrix is transposed, that make the rows as columns. So we have made the first row as first column. So let us take a example. See, we have chosen examples of this simple matrix of 2 by 2 complex matrix, which is actually a very important matrix in quantum mechanics. It's one of the 4 Pauli spin matrices, right? So now, what is A bar here? A bar is nothing but 0, I minus I 0. Then you can transpose it. So it gives me back 0 minus I 0. And this is what is A bar transpose. So we found something very interesting. So when I take the conjugate transpose of this Pauli matrix, this one, which is called, this is symbolic called A star. What we get back is A star equal to my old matrix A. Such matrices are called Hermitian matrices. This is the analog of symmetric matrix. See, if you take A bar transpose when all the entries are real, you will get only A transpose. And if A transpose equal to A, you say that it is a symmetric matrix. So for real matrices, what we call symmetric matrices, that role is now played by Hermitian matrices when the entries are complex. Okay. Now, if you have V of complex vector, what is its corresponding complex conjugate transpose? So what we do is you take the bars. So V is this column vector. You take the this conjugate of the complex number. So it will become V bar would be Z1 bar, Z2 bar, Zn bar, and then you take the transpose. Basically, this is nothing but, which we write as V bar is nothing but V bar transpose. Gilbert Strang, for example, in his book which I had reviewed, writes VH instead of V star. So how do we define complex inner product? We are entering into slightly involved technical territory, and that's what I would like people to really now concentrate on, those who would like to have a look. Here, my inner product happened between two elements of Cn, two vectors V in Cn, just like in the case of Rn, it happened between two elements of Rn. We are combining two elements of Rn, we are multiplying essentially. And that product now, that inner product should return me a complex number. In the case of real vectors, it should return me a real number. In the case of complex vectors, it should return me a complex number. This is the first difference that needs to be kept in mind when you are talking about complex inner product or complex vectors and complex matrices, that everything is returned back to complex numbers. So the scalars that we use on the vector space Cn are complex numbers. So those who know more about linear algebra can speak in a more technical language. Cn is a vector space over the field of complex numbers. Okay, so now there are two ways in which we can define the inner product, and I call them the left inner product and the right inner product. I do not know what people say, what they write in books. I have not seen, but I am just using this terminology for making life easier for me at least. So first one I give the symbol WVL, where W is a vector in Cn and V is a vector in Cn, and this is nothing but kind of an normal inner product between W star and V. So this is defined as W1 bar into V1 plus Wn bar into Vn. And this is what you find in the linear algebra book of Gilbert Strang. But some mathematicians want to also define it in a slightly different way. For example, this is what I call the right inner product, where instead of taking the conjugates on W, you take the conjugates on V. This is, for example, given in this lovely book by Sheldon Axler called Linear Algebra Done Right. Okay. Now, how do you define the norm or the length of a vector in the vector space Cn? In fact, it turns out that no, we can just mimic what we have learned in the case of the real vectors, that the inner product of a vector with itself gives us the square of the norm. So here the norm v square is the inner product, whether you take it with the right left convention or the right convention, they will ultimately give you the same thing because of the commutativity of complex numbers. Multiplying a complex number a with a complex number b is same as multiplying b with a. So this is nothing but adding up the square of the individual square of the modulus of the individual components. Now, what is the relationship between this right inner product and left inner product? Once we have two conventions, you can say, okay, I can work with one convention and forget the other. Okay, many mathematicians work with the convention of Axler, right one. Many physicists work, or the people in quantum computing, for example, in many quantum computing books, you would see that they work with this convention. It depends. It doesn't matter much. It's just a little change. Let us see how they are related. Okay. So let us see through examples. Now, take a vector w in C2, and I take the vector v also in C2. Of course, they has to be in the same space. One is I and minus I, right? See, as I told you, some of the elements in a complex vector can be real. In fact, all can be real. In fact, a real vector can be thought of as a complex vector, where all the imaginary components are zero. So now, I am taking the inner product with respect to the left inner product. It gives me minus 1 plus I. Go to that definition. This one, this one, and do the calculations. You will get minus 1 plus I. And here, when I do the right inner product, I get minus 1 minus I. So, minus 1 minus I is the conjugate of minus 1 plus I. So, does it mean that they are conjugates of each other in general, or it is just for this specific example it happened? The answer turns out to be yes, and which you can mathematically prove. For those who know about complex numbers, so if you take the left inner product, which is a complex number, and then take its conjugate, so basically you are taking the conjugate over this sum of complex numbers, Wn bar, sum of complex numbers. So you know, if I have z1 plus z2, two numbers, and take their conjugate, you can easily prove that the sum conjugate of the sum is the sum of the conjugates, which is exactly this. Now, if I multiply two complex numbers z1 and z2, the product of the conjugate of the product is product of the conjugates. So here, that is exactly what we are doing. The conjugate of the conjugate gives me back the same number, right? So when you do it, you get back WVR. So these two, the left and right, are nothing but conjugate of each other. So it doesn't matter whatever convention you take, you can take one of the conventions and work. You might suddenly feel that I am becoming quiet while speaking. I'm just sipping a cup of coffee, friends, because coffee and mathematics always goes hands in hand. So, as I said, you can choose any property. So, properties of, I am just looking at the left one, WVL. So, VV is the square of the length. Basically, length has to be greater than or equal to 0, and the only way the length would be 0 means the vector has to be 0. Now, when you do these kind of things which you already know for the real case, what would happen? The same results you can just prove that will happen for this case also. Okay. Now, what happens if I multiply one of the vectors of W and V by a scalar lambda, where lambda is coming from the space of complex numbers, it's a complex number? Then what would happen? Then when I write down the definition of the left inner product, this is what happens. So now lambda W is the complex number with which I am taking the inner product of V. Now again here I'm applying the fact that the conjugate of the product of two complex numbers is the product of the conjugates. And that is how this lambda bar comes out and gives me back here that this part is the left inner product, which is this. So finally I get lambda bar into WVL. So it's the, if you multiply in the left slot, this is what you get. You get the conjugate of the complex number into the inner product, what you had already. Now if I multiply in the right slot, what would happen? Here again the same thing would happen. You will write down the same definition. But because we are using the left convention, but now I am not taking any conjugate over the lambda will come out and give me this result. It will be completely different, completely opposite if you had used the right convention. Now what you know and this is the important idea that we need to come in, that when you take an inner product of two real vectors, say x and y, the answer that you get is x1 y1 plus x2 y2 plus x and yn. But if you take it in the order yx, that also will give you y1 x1 plus y2 x2 plus yn xn, and that's same as x1 y1 plus x2 y2 plus xn yn. So yx and xy are same. So our question is, if w is and v are two different things, because what happens when w and v are same, that gives me a real number. But if they are different, whether this symmetry is maintained, that is whether inner product under the left convention, left inner product convention, or right, whatever you want to choose, is same when you take the order wv or vw, it doesn't matter, it will give me the same complex number. Let us check what is true. Now when you take WVL, you know this is the definition. Now you know that the complex numbers can swap themselves, they commute when you multiply. Z1 into Z2 is same as Z2 into Z1. So I swap it. So what I get? This is nothing but by definition the right inner product of VW. The left inner product of WV is the right inner product of VW, which is same as the taking the left inner product of VW and then taking the conjugate. So WV left inner product is same as, is the conjugate of the left inner product between V and W. So this is called conjugate symmetry. So what would be the properties for the right? It will be just the opposite type of, this would be the similar, this would remain same, but other things, this slotting business of the scalar lambda, that will change when you take the right convention in place of the left convention. Now what about complex multiplication? Okay, I will not take a very general definition, I will take a very simple example and let us look at it. So what we had learned, if you are all real in matrices, real, all the entries are real, and for example my scalars are also real, so yeah, I'm in the real vector space. Then, so if you want to multiply a matrix A with a matrix B, so you take the inner product between the ith row of A with the jth row of B. That real number is the ijth entry, or the entry in the ith row and jth column of the product matrix AB. That's what is known, what we had discussed earlier. So now, do inner products play a role? The inner products that we define, now we have two different conventions. So what would happen if we really use that idea of inner products? Because now we are having complex vectors, so you have to use complex inner products possibly. But let us look what is the standard definition. So let us take just with two square matrices A and B, and let us look at the standard definition. A, B has these entries, Z11, Z12, Z21, Z22, and Wij's are entries in B. You will be surprised that the standard definition is just like as if you multiply these numbers as if you are doing a real inner product. Just if you look at it, it looks as if you are doing the normal multiplication between any two matrices, as if all the entries are real and you are doing the real inner product. This I find very strange. Then what would be the real use of the complex inner product? Why don't we use one of these to define matrix multiplication? I even asked this question to Gilbert Strang, and he said that he found that in some softwares, Microsoft maybe, or in Mathematica or Maple, I don't remember. I have to check the email. That they have used one of the inner products, maybe the left one, to define matrix multiplication. Now I have then started thinking that why in most matrix books or matrix theory books, the complex multiplication of two complex matrices is given as if we are doing the multiplication of two real matrices, as if we are taking real inner products. For example, if you look at the first entry, this entry here of AB, the first entry here, the first row, first one, so first row of A, first column of B, it is as if we have taken an inner product, normal inner product, as if these were real numbers. But we have really not taken a complex inner product. But why this definition is given? So let me give my own interpretation of this. Why possibly this definition is taken as the standard definition and not the right, not using the inner products either left or right. Let us see. So let's. It looks very strange, but let us see. So let us take these two matrices U and V. Now, if you multiply by the standard definition, this is what you get: I 1 0. Now, instead, when you do a multiplication, for example, if you take the left inner product norm, for example, I want to multiply, for example, I want to look at this part of the product, UV in the left inner product, using the left inner product convention. So let us see what happens. So here I'll do a left inner product between this and this, because there is the second row and first column. So what I'll do, left inner product, I'll take the conjugate of this and multiply with this. So it will become I square, and then 0 plus 0 into 0. 0 conjugate is 0. This is a real number. So I square is minus 1. So here there is a change. So it's the UV standard is the standard definition gives me I 1 0. It is giving me I minus 1 0. But then if I take the right inner product, then it is giving me, which I leave it to you to check it. So it gives me that the product of the matrices as per the right convention should be minus I minus 1 0. So what we get through left convention, what we get through right convention, using the right inner product and the left inner product, are completely two different matrices. And that makes it very ambiguous. So either you have to say that I'll follow the left inner product and I'll take this convention and all my things would be according to this. Or you have to say this. But I believe that because these two gives very different answers when you multiply even the same matrices, that is why this particular standard definition is actually in vogue. So what Gilbert Strang told me that some of the companies, for example Microsoft, possibly is using the left inner product. So anyway, basically, so for example, if you want to multiply a matrix A with A, right? Basically, suppose instead of, if also I want to multiply A with A, or for example, I want to do say A transpose A. So instead of doing A transpose A, possibly I'll be doing kind of A star A, this kind of thing. So basically, if I want to multiply, or rather, suppose I want to multiply A with A, no, not A transpose, I'm making a mistake. So suppose I multiply A with A, instead of just doing it in this way, if I do it with the left inner product, I am actually doing, for me, if I A in the left mode will become A star A. So it seems somewhere people are using this format. So it's just going with one convention. But I believe that the reason for taking the standard definition is the ambiguity that we have here. So it is a very important thing and you can think about it. I hope you enjoyed this and hope I'll bring you some more interesting things in the near future. Thank you very much.